Is the fact that it's red? Is that okay?
Yeah, it's recording.
Okay.
It's gonna explode. I'm trying to figure out how to string you doing a creator-owned comic together with the agency of like traveling, because they are like it's a risk-taking sort of approach to life, right? I think once you take those risks of like you moved to New York and you learned like, oh, I can do this, like even if it doesn't work out exactly how I wanted it to, it's sort of the journey, right?
Well, I know if you ever get like, do you ever get like an offer and you're like, okay, well, here's reasons why it's good, here's maybe reasons why it's not good, but you get this kind of like gut reaction.
Always.
And I've always gone, okay, well, okay, that's a good reaction, but really consider like X, Y, and Z, and consider blah, and in the end, I just always feel like that gut reaction is always like, even if it's like, here's the thing that's more money, and if it's just something my gut goes, I've just learned to really trust that, or I don't know what it is, I don't think it's anything mystical or anything. It's just I think you can just, there's maybe some part of you inside is way more confident and assured about these things and knows. But your brain's going to try rationalize it in some way. And
the information we take in and who we are is, we are only like a sliver of that cognitively, and that's the thing I don't think people realize, is that so much of you is sort of like, there's this well of experience that builds up. There's your brain like physiologically is doing things that you are not aware of all the time.
But also I find like, because I'll battle against that, because what I'm saying, I was different and yada yada yada, I still am from like, working class background, kind of moved into middle class as I turned into as I was a teenager, like our status changed, but so I have this like workman attitude, and it's very hard, like it's in all the ways I'm like, all these like specific questions about money and whatnot are things that like I didn't think about when I was starting out, and now that I'm older, they're very much things I'll consider and would think about in a way that, like I'm saying, the gut is the thing that kept me going through all that perseverance. But now I find I'm in a weird place where, because the nature of the job that we do is so many hours in the chair, it's your schedule, there's all these like real things you have to consider.
The real fucking rub of it is that it's easy to take risks when you have nothing to lose, but you don't know that. You don't know it because you don't realize, you think that like the first time that you're given a chance, that you have to take every chance you can get, and that's some of that's true.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like it's like you still have an empty slate.
There's a friend of a guy I was friends with, was a big artist, and years ago he had to decide between doing a Marvel and DC thing, and I remember going like, boo fucking who, like, oh, poor you have to pick between Marvel and DC. Now, like, years later, where I've been very fortunate to get the gigs I've gotten, I get it, like there's more to lose.
You can't do Banshee at DC.
Yeah. Or can I?
You baby step yourself into like learning how to take risks.
Yeah.
And in this business, like the biggest risk you can take is to bet on yourself.
Yes.
And for both of us, we were fortunate that we were paired with writers that were already sort of become, or at least in Jason's case, he was on the rise. Warren Ellis was already a big deal. But the fact that we made it clear we wanted to work with these people and we wanted to do these projects or whatever, and then we took the risk to bet on ourselves.
Yeah.
It worked out, and it doesn't always work out for everyone.
Yeah, true.
But I think the benefits of doing a creator-owned comic, even if they're not tangible as like, if they're not fiscally tangible, there's always some benefit from it.
Well, I think what happens is when you do a creator-owned comic, you make yourself unavailable to think. Because I loved working at Marvel, but ultimately the gigs I was doing, which were whatever ones they were willing to give me, and I've heard, that some of those gigs that I've gotten, there were people who didn't think I should get those gigs, which is frustrating. That there's people deciding your life. And you have no say in it at all. You're like, you could ask me, but now that once I took myself off the board, then it was more in demand. And now the stuff that I'm getting to do there is stuff I actually really like to do. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, of all worlds now. So I get to do stuff that I own, that I love, and if I do something that's work for hire, because love Marvel. I love all those characters. It's fun to play with that stuff. So ultimately, everybody wins.
Yeah.
You know, but you can't know that.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm a small business.
Yeah.
I can compromise on things. There can be a discussion, but if I don't know what I'm doing and what I'm good at and what I'm bringing to the table, and I don't fight to protect those things, then who I am is diminished from a creative standpoint, and as a business. You know, suddenly like you don't know what you're getting when you hire me anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a real weird thing to have
and it also it completely goes against everything that makes you the artist that you are is anti that. But so you have to be able to stay true to what makes you want to make work, but also in order to facilitate you making that work, you need to have the head that can maximize the most possible happiness from
and
that.
being able to
be it the time that you invest, be it the work that you do. You know, you need to be like, well, you know, I can draw for 2 days this week, and it'd be really, really good pages, or I can maybe knock out 4 and get the book finished. And so then you're like, so where's your compromise there? And those are really difficult decisions to. I mean, I'm trying to do the 2 pages and make them the best. I feel that as an artist, your currency is only what's printed on the page. You know, if people go like, like, oh, well, I only had half a day to do that page, it doesn't fucking
Nobody
matter.
knows.
No one's going to know that. What's on the page is you.
Well, no one knows it's a funny thing to say on an interview that's about how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
But no one knows, and no one should be expected to know.
Yeah,
You know, when a person picks a book up off the stands, it's amazing if they care enough to know who I am.
Sure.
Or know how I did it, or want to get into that process. But I have to be able to step back from it and know that they probably don't know any of that shit.
Yeah.
They're just reacting to what they see. And that's going to be that way.
Which as a reader is all they should be expected to do.
Exactly.
You know?
Spend some time with like your grandma watching CSI or something. They have no idea what's happening in the stories.
Yeah. And you're like going, well, it cost a fortune to do that shot.
Yeah.
You know?
That show would be amazing if it was called Science Cops.
It's what it is. It is totally science cop. People use the term talent. I was saying this on Twitter the other day that I feel sometimes it's it ostracizes people who just might have an interest in something creative. They'll say like, oh, well, I'm not talented. But like, you know, I've been drawing for years, which is why I'm good at drawing. But I would say it's the person I am and the experience that I had and the thoughts that I have that have crafted that into something that's maybe a little bit more interesting than just a technical drawing. But I think that, but the word talent, I think, just puts people off because they think, well, I'm not automatically good at something, therefore I shouldn't try it.
Yes.
You know, I think that sucks. So let's just assume somebody does work at it and they can be good at drawing. That's great. But there is, I feel there's conversations like this that happen. It informs how you're thinking about. It's not necessarily what you're drawing. It's how you're thinking about what you're drawing. Sometimes, you know, and it's the risk taking is another thing with me that it's kind of why, not to judge anyone who works digitally. It's just for me, the reason why I work on paper is because of the risk that I might fuck it up, and the fear of that is what I feel leads me to do more interesting stuff.
That's what's really fascinating about like pursuing something creative is that like if it is hard and it is like difficult, you cherish it you cherish the victories all that much more.
Yeah.
And you develop these skills that you can move into other parts of your life. I think like people who have who can develop a real relationship with what they're doing, with what they're putting in, tend to have better results because their expectations change. It becomes less about an end result. Like it's good to have a goal.
When I started at Marvel, so it's all I ever wanted to do, right, was work at Marvel, and then I got to do it, and I was in the room. Grew up drawing superheroes in my school copybooks, and I wrote my name on the paper. So as artist, I wrote Declan Shalvey, and I was like, I did it.
Yeah, right.
Like
what?
That's exactly what I thought, because it was the Everest. It was like, so of all the people who want to do comics professionally, who actually gets to work at Marvel and DC? Like loads of people work there, but not everybody gets to do it. And here's fucking gobshite here from Ireland getting to do it in my fucking the house I grew up in County Clare. I'm doing, how the hell am I doing it? So I've actually done stuff that was so insurmountable, and I've climbed Everest. Now what?
Yeah.
And I guess it's Joe the Simpsons that where he's climbing the mountain and then he gets into the clouds and he puts up the thing and he looks and there's like another mountain and it's like, oh, for God's sake. But I'm making that mountain,
Yeah.
So the next thing was to like do something that I feel more personally invested in, and the next thing was to want to write something. So where does it end?
The buggiest part about all this, the thing that centers me all the time, is I go like, the most profound things I'm gonna ever say are coming out of a squiggly line.
Yeah.
Which is
sobering, and humbling. I was the only guy who could really draw in my year in school, and then I went to another place where there was an art class, and there was one guy in that who was really, really good. It was the first level of we all get it when you meet somebody else who's really talented. You're like, oh crap, I'm not as good as I thought I was.
I've never felt that in my life.
Really? Are you not intimidated by me in this room?
I don't understand a word you're fucking saying. That's my secret, Cap. As I never understand.
Oh, I'm not surprised.